Make no mistake, there has been a cancer growing in the East Cleveland Police Department.
Breaking new details on a pattern of alleged unlawful conduct by nearly a dozen police officers.
The county prosecutor announcing new indictments, and the video they used to make that case, absolutely horrifying. We want to warn you, some of this video is very difficult to watch.
Everywhere at 5, our Sia New Yorker breaks down the developing details. And Sia, the video and the charges are absolutely shocking.
Tiffany and Chris, shocking indeed. Now, a jury has opted to indict 11 current and former East Cleveland police officers for criminal acts against citizens. Now, this comes after former East Cleveland Police Chief Scott Gardner was indicted on multiple charges last year and fired. Now, today here at the Justice Center, Prosecutor O'Malley shared body cam that he said was appalling. His office intends to get justice for these victims. It's hard to watch, but Cuyahoga County Prosecutor Michael O'Malley says the common denominator in these police body cams are that all of the victims complied, but it still wasn't enough.
People in these videos were giving up. They were showing their hands. They were not threats. They were acquiescing to the authority of law enforcement and putting their hands up in all of these instances. And that wasn't enough. And I don't know what else a citizen can do.
Wednesday, his office announced that in an ongoing investigation, it would be indicting 11 more East Cleveland police officers on charges of assault, tampering with evidence and records, interfering with civil rights, theft while on duty, and other charges. Video after video shows East Cleveland police officers striking, kicking, using stun guns, and throwing hooks and licks at victims while handcuffed. Investigators say tips came from years of citizen complaints and that it was time to act.
Witnessing a guy handcuffed and his head stomped, or witnessing a guy handcuffed and being tased while handcuffed repeatedly, which to me is a form of torture. It also lit a fire in me that these things had to be fixed. And so, fix them we will.
East Cleveland City Council President Juanita Gowdy was emotional at the press conference, thanking the prosecutors.
Keep hope alive, because a change is coming for all people, and not just only East Cleveland, throughout the East Cleveland, but we need it in East Cleveland. We need the sheriff department to come in because it's terrible.
I'm told these officers will be allowed to surrender at a later date for booking. Now, we'll keep you updated on when that is. Now, also, Cleveland FBI has set up a hotline to hear complaints from people who believe they've been a victim of police misconduct there in East Cleveland. That number is posted on our website at cleveland19.com. Reporting live at the Justice Center, Sia New Yorker, 19 News.
Certainly was a lot to take in from this afternoon's news conference, and that includes the numbers.
19 Data journalist Dan DeRosa is here to kind of walk us through that information released today, and it's a lot.
You heard Prosecutor O'Malley say that this is a cancer, and he also said this was from the top down. We're going to go through some of those numbers and show you just how bad this issue has been. Today's announcement was for 11 current and former officers. One of those officers had left East Cleveland, was in Euclid. He has since been fired from his Euclid officer job. All total, in just the past 7 months, the prosecutor has indicted 16 East Cleveland former or current police officers. That includes the former chief. He's been fired. A couple of detectives been fired. Sergeant been fired. Now you have 4 officers. There were currently 4 officers, and we'll get into that in just a second. This spans from February of 2020 to July of 2022. They had to go through hours and hours and hours of body cam videos. They found 31 incidents where there were 17 victims, citizens, as you heard Prosecutor O'Malley say, citizens who were trying to give up, but yet were kicked in the groin, punched repeatedly as they were trying to give up. 26 officers is what they believe East Cleveland has right now on the force. The problem is 4 of them were just indicted, so they think It's somewhere around East Cleveland has 20 or 22. We just had a news conference at 4:30 with the East Cleveland president of the city council and the vice president. They were asked specifically, so how many officers do you have right now? They couldn't even answer that question. They said they don't even know what their officers make in salary because they've asked the current police chief for a report of salaries. He says he has it, but he's never given it to the city council. How does the city council not know what their police officers are making? They don't even know how many officers are on the street. That's why the prosecutor said the sheriff's department may need to step in, and the Ohio State Highway Patrol may need to step in to start keeping East Cleveland residents safe now that they are down to such low numbers. Dan DeRose, 19 News.
And Dan, coming up at 6 o'clock, we're going to hear from the East Cleveland Council about what's next and who they're asking to help keep their streets safe as their police department comes under fire. We're going to be covering all the angles as these cases head toward trial. Look for breaking developments and continuing coverage on air and on our streaming apps.